Hi guys, welcome to our presentation. Today we're going to discuss to you about Executive Order 648, Reorganizing the Human Settlements Regulatory Commission. Join me and Daisy as we discuss the details of this executive order. And at the end of this presentation, we hope that we'll have a better understanding of how our HSUT came to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation. But before we start, let's have a few moments to review these 9 pointers for our Google Meet expectations. Okay. Everybody done? Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, let's go. So what exactly is Executive Order number 648 all about? Well, to understand this better, we have to go back, way back to 1976, where the Human Settlements Adjudication Commission narrative can be traced. It was when President Ferdinand E. Marcos, by virtue of the Presidential Decree number 933, created the Human Settlements Commission, or HSC, in order to develop the modernized communities and optimize the land use as a resource for public welfare. The HSC was also acted as an appellate body in case of conflicting decisions and actions arising from the exercise of physical planning functions or the regional or local planning agencies. Then, in 1978, Presidential Decree number 1396 was enacted, creating the Ministry of Human Settlements. It has the goal to provide every community with the basic needs and resources, as well as manage urban development and promote innovative land and community development. Under the same law, the HSC was also renamed as the Human Settlements Regulatory Commission, or HSRC, and became the regulatory arm of the ministry. Then, by 1981, particularly February 7, 1981, to strengthen the HSRC further, Executive Order number 648 was promulgated. This reorganized the HSRC and granted it powers to attribute as a quasi-judicial body that has jurisdiction over appeals and the decisions and actions of the deputized officials and local and regional planning for the zoning bodies. It also assumed regulatory functions of the National Housing Authority in its implementation of the Presidential Decree number 957 and related laws. This later on became the HLURB, then now the HSUD as we know it today. So as we said earlier, EO number 648 was created in order to provide more power for the Commission. So, among these powers and functions are the following. First is to promulgate zoning and the land use control standards and guidelines which shall govern the use of plans and zoning ordinances of the local governments. These zoning components of civil works and infrastructure projects of the national, regional, and local governments. So every subdivision, they have now the power to promulgate the zoning. Where will the specific agricultural land will be, the subdivision lands will be, and everything like that. Also, they have the power to review the comprehensive land use program of the government. They can issue rules and the regulation to enforce the use policy of human settlements as provided by the Presidential Decrees number 339, 815, 933, 957, 1216, 1344, 1396, 1517, Letter of Instructions number 713, 729, 833, 935, and other related laws related to the use of land, including the regulatory aspects of the Urban Land Reform Act and all decrees relating to the regulation of the value of land and the improvements of the rental. Another one is they ensure compliance of the policies, plans, and standards and guidelines of the human settlements promulgated in paragraph A of this section. The HSRC are also empowered to conduct public hearings relating to their functions. In addition, they can act as an appellate body of on decisions and actions of local and regional planning and zoning bodies and the deputized officials of the Commission on matters arising when the performance during the performance of these functions. And also, they promote, encourage, coordinate, and assist private enterprises and government agencies in instrumentalities in planning, developing and coordinating human settlement plans and programs, in furnishing legal, technical, and professional assistance. In addition, they also have the power to develop and implement prototype projects supportive of the regulatory functions, either by itself or as part of the interagency group, or by the contract of such appropriate public and private entities as it may be deemed proper. There are also times when the HSRC can call on any government employee or any department, bureau, or office, agency, or instrumentality of the government or private entities or organizations for cooperation in the assistance for the exercise of their function. With that, they can adopt rules and procedures for the conduct of their business. And in doing so, they can also staff their organization with appropriate and qualified personnel in accordance with the deemed proper or necessary to the achievement of the objectives of the Commission. They can even make or enter into any contract or any kind of any nature to enable it to discharge its functions under this order. And also, they can acquire, purchase, own, lease, or mortgage, sell, or otherwise dispose of any land or any improvements thereon, or property of any kind, movable and immovable, exercise the right to any eminent domain by expropriating the land improvements thereon, which, in the opinion of the Commission, are vital for the necessary development or to develop and implement the prototype function supportive of the regulatory functions. In doing their function, the HSRC has the power to charge or collect fees. They can even impose administrative charge not exceeding 20,000 pesos. Imagine 20,000 pesos, how much was that in 1981? It was a big amount. Or for any violation of its charter or of its rules and regulations, they can charge up to 20,000 pesos at that time. Okay. They can also issue orders after conducting the appropriate investigation for the cessation or closure of any use or activity, and to issue orders to vacate or demolish any building or structure that it determines to have violated or failed to comply with any of the laws. Presidential decrees, letters or instructions, executive orders, and other presidential issuances and directives being implemented by it, either on its own motion or upon compliance of any interested party. Did you know that the HSRC also has the power to cite any person, entity, or enterprise in contempt if they act against the Commission if they are doing their function? There are two instances that can do this. First is whenever any person or entity or enterprise commits a disorderly or disrespectful conduct before the Commission on in the presence of any member or authorized representatives in actual doing or actually engage in performing their duty. Second is they can also impose fines not exceeding 2,000 for any non-compliance and add 500 pesos per day as long as these violations are continuously done. So that's how powerful they are. And lastly, they can perform any other function necessary for the accomplishment of their duties. And then, no injunction can be made against the Commission when filed by any party during the practice of the regulatory function. Any decision they make can only be appealed through the President of the Philippines, of course, according to the powers vested by by the Supreme Court to the President of the Philippines. So those are the general powers that have been created for the HSRC functioning their duties with the EO 648. Alright, so we have covered the powers generated for the Human Settlement Regulatory Commission. So, to continue with the presentation, here's Lacey to discuss more about the other provisions of EO 648. So, this has been Jojo Crenshaw. Thank you very much.